Learning programming can feel overwhelming at times. That's why it's important to stay organized. For me, the one key item to stay organized is a folder. Hi, I'm Jojo. Welcome to Coding Cocoon, your safe space to learn programming in a calm and cozy way. In this video, I'll give you some tips about choosing the location for your programming projects folder, suggest some naming ideas, and make you aware of things to look out for. For me, the one key item to stay organized is a folder. This folder is the starting point for all my programming adventures. It's a folder where all your projects find a home. Yeah, it might be just a folder, but there are actually some things to consider to not run into problems. When I first started programming, I saved the files wherever I was at the moment on my file system. Most of the time, it was my desktop. Sometimes it was even my downloads folder, because I built upon something I found on the internet. These locations can lead to big problems down the line. Some operating systems clear up the download folder when files are a bit older, and your programming projects will be moved to the trash. And I don't know about you, but on a desktop I periodically move my files into an archive folder to tidy up my desktop. And after a while, I'll do it again. And your desktop becomes a drawer in your entrance that contains batteries, pens, coupons, and your projects files, they must be somewhere in here. So, if the desktop and the download folder aren't good ideas to create projects in, where should you create the projects instead? To stay organized with your programming projects, I recommend that you create one folder where you store all your programming projects in. This folder should ideally live in your user folder. So, for example, inside c:\users\jojo on Windows. On macOS it could be /users/jojo, and on Linux it would be /home/jojo. You can also save your project folder on another location, as long as it isn't the desktop or the downloads folder. If you choose a location other than your user folder, keep in mind that you may have to deal with long file paths in the future. Also, it may be annoying to navigate into the folder, but we'll tackle that in a moment. For the folder name, I recommend to keep it short as well. Again, the longer the folder name, the longer the whole file path. I like to name my project folder Projects. It's short, descriptive, and it doesn't collide with other folders that already exist in your user folder. You can also choose an even more descriptive name like Coding Projects. But if you do, use an underscore for the folder name. It looks a bit odd, but trust me, having a space in there may look even more odd in some situations. For example, when you reference the path in your terminal emulator. Depending on your taste, you can keep the folder name in lowercase or start it with an uppercase letter. Just make sure to remember your choice and type it correctly in the future. Some operating systems are picky about the letter casing. Once you've created your project folder, it's a good idea to make it convenient to access. Different operating systems have different options to create shortcuts to folders. On macOS, I like to drag the folder into the sidebar. That way, the folder is right here on the left side of my window when I want to save or open files. Additionally, I drag the projects folder in the dock. And just like that, all your projects are just one click away. Now that you have your projects folder, you don't need to second guess where to create a project on your system. This folder will be your starting point. There is only one thing to keep in mind. When you start a new project, you don't just create new files in this folder. Instead, you create a subfolder for each project. That means on the projects folder top level, there should only be other folders. With one exception. There is one important file that you actually should create at the top level of your project folder. And that's what my next video will be about.